I was speaking with a shed mover about some of the customizations he's seen, some things that work really well, some things that are recommended and not recommended. And so let's talk about the roof here. So this shed was moved from another area on the property here to set up so we can start putting wiring in and start this project we're doing, this training program we're doing. And so this is a temporary location. We had to jack it up high enough that we can get under it to put stuff under there, or to lift it up a little bit more to put in the insulation. So we talked about the roof itself. So first off, the roof is not insulated, and it does not have a radiant barrier. It doesn't have the typical things that were going to be installed with a metal roof. You also notice there's very little overhang. The last thing you're going to do when you're doing a shed conversion, which is easily done as part of the early stages, is you're going to get yourself some overhang. You do not want rain blowing down the side of your building. And you can already see some warping in the side of this building. Your paint, your maintenance is super important, but once this is at its permanent location, which can be a gravel pad, it can be a foundation or vertical piers, and once it's bolted down to its final location and ready to be a permanent building, then you come back, take this roof off, repair any damage that's on the roof there, extend the eaves, and extend the, basically you want a front eaves. So you're gonna make the roof angle a little bit more shallow. You're not extending it on the inside necessarily, but you're making the roof angle a little bit more shallow so that you can put a header beam over top of your doorway and then connect a porch to it. And then you're going to extend the eaves up top and put a new roof on it. Now you could put a shingle roof on it, you could put a metal roof on it, but it's going to, again, be a structural roof that is supported by the internal reinforcements that we put in place, and ultimately give you a code roof, because then it's a permanent structure. So we're not going to have barn doors on it. It'll be more like that other building over there. By the way, we did not build that other building. If you pay close attention to the course, we'll show you how we got that building, and we'll show you about a great group of people that are training folks on how to build these buildings. And it's a volunteer opportunity where you can learn how to build this building and get hand-on experience. But essentially, there's a big difference between the tan building and the baby blue building, in all the way from the windows to the roof to anything else. But if you change the roof before it's in its final location, you will not be able to get it down the road. Look how high it is, how high this building is. To get it back here, it took a lot of time, specialized equipment, and cost a lot of money. This next move for this building, when it's finished and it's ready to be a off-grid cabin, the next move is gonna be to a foundation. And again, in another module, we talk about the different types of foundations. And at that point, we can then put a better roof on it, insulated roof, thermal barrier roof, moisture barrier roof. A warm roof is a good way, or a cool roof is a good way, because you still want to maintain your headroom. So the roof is actually going to build out rather than build in. So you don't have to change your drywall or anything on the inside. You're going to build out rather than build in. And then you can start getting a better slope on that roof so that you can get a front porch on it, so that you can get gutters, for example. So you can do rainwater collection. If you're going to add solar panels, now I wouldn't recommend, until you're at the permanent foundation, extending the porch on this, because again, every one of these blocks is going to sink into the ground, and we're going to have to re-level this a bunch of times. The re-leveling is not an issue when we're working on the construction. We just want to worry about twisting. We don't want it to twist, so we will check it periodically to make sure it's not twisting. But again, the roof will be the very last thing you're going to do. And you might be able to salvage these materials, but you're going to end up putting a roof that vents properly. And so rather than it'll have soffit under here. And I don't know if you can see that with the shadow, but they'll be probably 6 to 8 inches out, like that over there, with soffit. And then the air can pass up under the roof to keep your roof cool, and keep it cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And ultimately, you'll have better airflow and you won't get that mold up there. So again, that's something we wanted to talk about. A lot of these sheds, and he had a number of horror stories we can list below, but a lot of times people will modify the roof before they move the shed. And in doing that, not realizing this whole top section here is actually pretty thin. And ultimately, the roof will extend too far. So another thing, this has already been spec'd to be carried down the road. If you change the roof on it, they can't take it down the road anymore because it's too wide. It doesn't fit the DOT specifications. So again, you're not gonna see these in the YouTube videos. We're teaching you this stuff, the good, better, and best method. The best is probably over here. Actually, the best is just stick build it on a foundation. But this is better, and this is good. But we have to have the order of the modifications done correctly. Otherwise, you'll end up with a building you cannot move, or it's an expensive move. And I'll tell you, the price doubled on moving this. And actually, I moved this building for less than I moved this building and leveled it. So again, this is 10 by 20, and this other one is, I think this other one's 10 by 20. I think this is 16 by 20. I don't know, folks. I've just been getting the blocks in place. I'm waiting on the guy to come back here. He's picking up another building. We'll talk about that a little bit. But again, ask your questions below. This particular module is about the order of the build, the site preparation, the leveling, the getting the building in place. If you have to stage the building temporarily because you're not sure where it's going to go, this ties into our compound or camp design, and then it also ties into how we're going to progress, because you're bootstrapping a homestead most of the time. And you don't have the money. If you had the money right up front to build what you need to build, you just do the best option. And so the order matters, so you don't end up with additional costs down the line. There'll be horror stories in the list below, but there's also a place for you to ask your questions. I do sincerely want to hear your questions so that we can adjust this course over time. And so as you've spent more time in the course, you'll be able to get more out of the course. Okay, and be sure on the workshop that we're going to do this Thursday that you ask your questions.